Hong Kong reports the first case of chikungunya fever this year. Countdown events marking 100 days to go before the 15th National Games. And Donald Trump fires ahead of Bureau of Labor statistics after disappointing job figures. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Hong Kong has reported the first case of chikungunya fever this year, involving a 12-year-old boy who visited Foshan in Guangdong last month. Some infectious disease experts say the government and the public should step up mosquito control measures.
In Foshan City in Guangdong province, the first case of chikungunya fever was detected on July 8th in a traveler, soon after local outbreaks erupted. Shenzhen and Guangzhou have since confirmed new infections. Hong Kong has now reported its first imported case of chikungunya fever since 2019. The 12-year-old boy resides at On Tat Estate in Kwun Tong. Previously in good health, the patient visited Shunde in Foshan with his mother between 17th and the 30th of July. He had mosquito bites during outdoor activities. The boy also stayed overnight in Panyu district. He returned to Hong Kong via the Futian border crossing on Wednesday and later developed a fever, rashes, and joint pain. He sought medical attention from a private doctor who referred him to United Christian Hospital for admission. A PCR test later confirmed he came down with chikungunya fever. He was transferred to Princess Margaret Hospital on Friday. The Center for Health Protection says chikungunya fever is not a new disease, with similar symptoms as those of dengue fever. It is mosquito-borne and cannot be transmitted from person to person. CHP says daily social contact with the patient will not cause infection. The incubation period ranges from 3 to 8 days after being bitten by an infected mosquito. What do residents think? This man expresses worries because of the lack of anti-mosquito facilities in the city. This woman says she would apply mosquito repellent if she's out and about wearing shorts. Infectious disease expert Professor Yun Kwok-yung of the University of Hong Kong says the emergence was expected given the frequent cross-border movement. He urges all returning travelers from outbreak zones to monitor symptoms such as a fever, rash, or joint pain and get a blood test immediately if symptoms emerge. He warns that if the mosquito-borne virus takes hold locally, chikungunya can become endemic as the virus can persist through mosquito eggs, passing from one generation to the next. In Hong Kong, the Asian tiger mosquitoes, also known as forest mosquitoes that are often carriers of dengue fever, are the most common vector. From 2016 to 2019, Hong Kong recorded between 1 and 11 chikungunya fever cases each year. All were imported cases.
With just 100 days to go until the 15th National Games, a series of countdown events were held this weekend. This is the first time Hong Kong will team up with Guangdong and Macau to host the event. Samantha Lee reports.
The 100-day countdown event took place at Hong Kong Velodrome in Tseung Kwan O. Officiating the event were Chief Executive John Lee, Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong Zhou Qi, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chen, among other officials. As part of the countdown events, the authorities earlier invited some 220,000 residents to bike, swim, and run their way to 999,900 kilometers. Some athletes completed the final 100 kilometers in the venue today, as the challenge was completed. Rosanna Law, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, took part in the last part of the event. The Million Kilometer Challenge marks the final 100 days until the start of the National Games. Chief Executive Johnny said Hong Kong will focus on optimizing the competition process, improving safety measures, and conducting final drills in a bid to build a fair stage for athletes, as well as providing an unforgettable viewing experience for spectators. During the 15th National Games, this venue, the Hong Kong Velodrome, will host track cycling events. Earlier today, all the celebration events were held in the city. Jointly organized by the CPPCC Youth Federation and the Yau Chi Mom District Office, the countdown activities aim to boost public awareness of the development of Hong Kong and the mainland sports infrastructure, as well as the National Games. Some active and retired athletes were invited to share the experience. Regina Yip, the convener of the Executive Council, said she believes Hong Kong athletes will achieve even better results at the National Games, following their commendable performances in recent years. The National Games, jointly organized by Guangdong, Hong Kong and Macau, will be held in November. Hong Kong will host 8 sports events, including fencing and beach volleyball. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong continues to experience unstable weather with a black rainstorm warning signal issued for 2 hours in the morning. The Drainage Services Department has handled at least 5 flooding reports.
2 black rainstorm warning signals in Hong Kong in the week. Multiple districts drenched by heavy downpours this morning. The rainstorms in Tseung Kwan O so intense that it was hard to see the road ahead. Pedestrians' umbrellas in hand were still soaked to the skin. On Kwun Tong Bypass, vehicles look like they are sailing through water rather than driving. On Kowloon's Waterloo Road, cars struggle to navigate the main streets and alleyways. Multiple highways waterlogged. On North Lantau Highway, Kowloon-bound traffic had to crawl through floodwater. From Tuen Mun Road to Tsuen Wan, the slow lane was partially submerged. Tai Mong Tsai Road in Sai Kung turned into streams. The Drainage Services Department dispatched over 110 emergency response teams rushing to Chai Wan and Wong Tai Sin to clear clogged drains and prevent further inundation. Temple Mall in Wong Tai Sin, which was inundated in 2023, installed flood barriers, with the MTR entrances nearby temporarily closed. Ms. Lam says residents here are used to the practice, but the government really needs to beef up drainage and clean the gutters more regularly. Mr. Wong says he was planning to go swimming, which had to be cancelled because of the rainstorm. Over in Tsim Sha Tsui, clouds blanketed Victoria Harbour. Skyscrapers on the opposite shore battered by rain. This traveler from Beijing says he had to find shelter from the rain at an indoor art museum. He says it's quite unforgettable and he may come visit Hong Kong again in the future when the weather is finer. The amber rainstorm warning signal was issued at 6:50 a.m. At 9:10, the red rainstorm warning signal was issued. The black rainstorm warning signal issued after 35 minutes. Many parts of the territory logged over 70 millimeters of rainfall, with about 100 millimeters recorded in parts of Kowloon and Chengyi.
Over the Pearl River estuary area, there are developments of thundery showers. This morning, showers developed into an intense band of thundery showers this morning and necessitates the observatory to issue the black rainstorm warning signal.
The observatory says the weather will continue to be unstable the next 2 to 3 days, with heavy rain and squally thunderstorms. The showers will ease off over mid to late next week.
U.S. President Donald Trump has fired the head of the agency that produces his country's monthly jobs figures. This after a report showed hiring slowed in July. Yanni Rao tells us more.
Friday's U.S. jobs report showed just 73,000 jobs were added in America last month, and 258,000 fewer jobs were created in May and June than previously estimated. The report suggested the country's economy has sharply weakened during U.S. President Donald Trump's tenure. The pattern is consistent with a slowdown in economic growth during the first half of the year and an increase in inflation during June that appeared to reflect the price pressures created by Trump's tariffs. Trump alleged the figures were manipulated for political reasons without providing evidence to back his claims. Trump added he had ordered his team to immediately fire Erica McIntyre, the director of the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, who was appointed by former U.S. President Joe Biden.
Because I think her numbers were wrong, just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala, I guess Biden/Kamala, and she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers are.
The charge the data was faked is an explosive one that threatens to undercut the political legitimacy of the US government's economic data, which has long been seen as the gold standard of economic measurement globally. US Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Trump is acting like a dictator.
As long as Donald Trump keeps firing messengers who bring him truth, he hates truth when he doesn't agree with it. As long as he does that, this economy will not improve.
McIntyre's firing was also condemned by two former US Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioners, including William Beach, who was appointed by Trump to the position. They particularly objected to the charge the data was altered for political reasons. Dan Rowell, TV News.
And still ahead, Brazilians protest against Donald Trump after 50% tariff is imposed. Swiss goods will become much more expensive in the U.S. following a 39% tariff. Welcome back. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has condemned U.S. tariff measures as unjustified and politically motivated. Brazil has been hit with 50% tariffs. Nasri Karim with more.
Protesters in Sao Paulo protest against Donald Trump and their former leader Jair Bolsonaro. The U.S. president imposed a whopping 50% tariff on Brazilian goods, partly because the country is putting Bolsonaro on trial for trying to overturn his 2022 election loss to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. They are wearing Brazilian national football jerseys for a reason. This protester said they want to show that the ones who rule Brazil are the Brazilian people. No threats, taxation, or anything that a foreign power wants to impose on Brazil. Lula says he remains open to negotiation with the U.S., but made clear that Bolsonaro's legal status would not be part of any deal. Canada was also hit hard with Trump imposing 35% tariffs. One Washington-based analyst said the bilateral goodwill forged over the decades has been affected.
And so over that period from the late 80s to today, we've really integrated our economies. There's been an enormous amount of trust built on both sides in order to make those investments, both by Canadians and Americans. And that trust has really been eroded by this coercive action by the U.S. government.
Mexico has a reprieve of 90 days in which to negotiate a deal with the U.S., a situation Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum described as a victory. Like Canada, steel and aluminium from Mexico is subject to 50% duties. South Africa faces a 50% tariff on its export to the U.S., with President Cyril Ramaphosa hoping for a negotiated deal.
We export vehicles, we export steel and aluminium, we export citrus. So we've got to engage with them and find a way to reach a settlement. So within the window that's still open, we're hoping that we will find a way to settle this matter.
Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Americans can expect to pay more for goods brought into their borders from countries that have been hit with high tariffs. Nasri Karim with details.
Switzerland, home to some of the most expensive luxury watches in the world, famed Swiss chocolates, and Swiss cheese. 7% of Swiss chocolates are exported to the US, which imported $63.4 billion worth of Swiss goods last year, a trade deficit of $38.5 billion. American consumers must now delve deeper into their pockets after President Donald Trump imposed 39% tariffs on Swiss imports into the US.
And in the end of the day, together with the exchange rate effect, this decision means that the costs increase by 50%. And I think it will be very hard to increase prices by that amount. And if you can't increase the prices, you lose money by exporting to the United States.
Meanwhile, analysts expect the U.S. vehicle industry, particularly in Detroit, Michigan, to take a big hit, given 50% tariffs on Canadian, Mexican steel and aluminium.
In either their earnings call or their guidance, all of the Detroit Three have literally listed billions of dollars of tariff impact. That can be absorbed by the companies, but it's going to affect those companies. I think consumers should be wary and should be aware that prices may creep up.
The reaction from financial markets was muted, Benchmarks fell in Asia, with South Korea's Kospi dropping nearly 4% after its tariff rate was set at 15%. One analyst says the real deal that markets are waiting for is the one with China, which recently completed round 3 of trade talks with the US.
I think the tariffs are probably a little higher than the street wanted to see. And now the question is, do they hold court? Do they actually implement, or are there more negotiations ahead? But everyone's also waiting for what the big ones in terms of China, that continues to sort of be front and center. That's really going to drive the market.
Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Video of an aid convoy being surrounded by desperate Palestinians has been released by the United Nations. A UN agency said Israeli troops fired at the crowd before their supplies were taken in chaotic scenes. David Garrett with more.
Delivering aid into Gaza, this UN agency says although Israel has relaxed constraints, it is difficult and dangerous.
It's kids, it's children.
Workers for the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs hoping crowds stay back, fearing a stampede or Israeli soldiers opening fire.
No, don't do this, no.
People run between the cars as the team inside say Israeli forces fired warning shots inches from the crowd. The OCHA say desperate people offloaded everything from the trucks. Some empty lorries are later shown in the video. Thousands of Palestinians returning from the distribution site at the Zakim crossing. Most have sacks of flour or food. Some say they were forced to go to get aid, having been so hungry they resorted to eating leaves from trees. They say they had to risk being shot by Israeli forces. Some were rushed back with injuries, aid seekers with bullet wounds in the chest and stomach. Some did not survive. Men and women were seen crying with dead children also filmed. The Israeli military says it only fires warning shots to control crowds.
Children should not be getting killed waiting in line at a nutrition center or collecting water, and people should not be so desperate that they rush a convoy to get food.
It was stories like this that caused an international outcry and prompted the US president to send his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, with a rare visit inside Gaza. Witkoff toured a US-Israeli-backed distribution center.
He had a great meeting with a lot of people, and the primary meeting was on food. And he also had some other conversations that I'll tell you about later, but he had a meeting on getting the people fed.
Today's aid drops just a trickle of what is needed. David Garrett, TVB News.
Some people are allergic to crabs and will display various symptoms after eating crabs. A study by the Chinese University of Hong Kong found 11 crab allergens, substances that cause allergy. Researchers said the findings will be useful for doctors in offering appropriate meal advice. Samantha Lee reports.
Mercy is 17 years old and has been allergic to some types of fish since a young age, but has been able to eat cooked crabs, shrimp and mussels without problems. 2 months ago, she went on holiday in South Korea, where she developed immediate allergic reactions, including swollen lips, blocked throat and dizziness, after eating soy sauce crab and a small amount of crab paste. To find out why Mercy was so reactive to crabs, which she was able to tolerate in the past, the CHK conducted IgE reactivity test with her serum samples. Results revealed that her serum samples reacted sharply with the muscle proteins from 2 types of crabs, the Charybdis variata and Areochare sinensis, which is usually used in crab paste. The research team analyzed 6 widely consumed edible crab species, with 64 serum samples from patients allergic to crabs. They found 11 crab allergens, which led to various levels of allergy among different people.
So if we understand different patterns in different patients, then we can actually help them to appropriately avoid different crabs that they're allergic, whereas they can enjoy some other crabs that don't have that allergen.
King crabs look basically the same as other crabs, but if you look closer, you will see king crabs only have 8 legs, while other crabs have 10 legs.
The medical expert said people with allergies can try a little bit if they are not sure whether they are allergic to a particular type of food. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.